Okay, so I'm with Bernard Sheridan from Impact Zone Golf and also the Breaking Par podcast. Bernard has been an avid, I'm going to say avid if you don't mind, Bernard, poster on CFG. Every day you can see some content from Bernard where he gives you instruction, and it's really, really good instruction. And we'll talk a bit more about the instruction later in the video. But Bernard, welcome. Hope you're well.
I am. Thank you so much for having me. And
you're currently in sunny Naples, right, in Florida?
Absolutely gorgeous here right now. Hate to be a damper on some other people's party, but beautiful at the moment. It's just about 78 degrees and going up to 86 today.
86, wow. I think we're looking forward to a good weekend here. I'm just outside London, and I think we'll get we do it in degrees centigrade. I think we're anticipating getting up to about 22. Which I think is probably early 70s. So that for us is a good weekend.
Yeah, that's actually nice. That's pretty nice.
It's pleasant, absolutely, absolutely. So firstly, I wanted to thank you for all of your posts on CFG and thank you for being a supporter and really congratulate you on your social media presence. You seem to have done a lot of hard work on your social media. I think I've seen on YouTube, you've got 3,500, maybe more subscribers. You have quite a big Twitter following and Facebook and LinkedIn and CFG. I think you've got 3,800 and something followers. So congratulations on that. Tell me, how has social media impacted your maybe not so much business, but how's it your reach?
Oh, it's definitely a lot more people know me because of social media. That's for sure. I think that the beautiful thing about it is it allows me to be in touch with people or for them to see what I have to offer, no matter where they are in the whole world.
Yeah.
And now with the way technology is, I can actually do lessons just like we're doing right now, either through a Zoom or a GoToMeeting or, and then using applications. And actually, I have a couple of clients that are in Spain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and one is from the dad is from the UK, and they now live in Spain. And he brings his son. I work with both of them. They come once a year over to Naples, and then in between, when I'm not seeing them, they send me swings. I tear them down. I send them videos. We do it all through our coaching program.
And what's the app you use for?
We use Coach Now for that.
Coach.
Wonderful program. And I highly recommend it for other instructors who are out there. It's a great way to have all the content that's in your lesson that you're giving and let them take it with them. Either their videos, their drills, and they have them wherever they go on their phone in this application.
So I would imagine one of the keys to that is recording it. And in order to do that, you need to press record. I'm going to put my hands up to this now. Bernard and I had a conversation for about an hour, I think, just previous to this video, and we finished up, wound it up, and I went to stop record, but hadn't started. So technology is great when used in the right hands, but it gave us a great opportunity to get to know each other, Bernard.
And when it's operating correctly too. I mean, it's not always the fault of the operator, as it was in this case. But
it certainly was.
And that's okay. It's not like you do this every day. So it's and I've done it myself on my own with my own podcast several times. As a matter of fact, I recorded an entire episode and then went to upload it, and it got deleted. So I had to actually call the client. I actually had to call the guy who I did the interview with and say, "I'm really sorry. Can we reschedule this?" But I accidentally deleted our entire interview after I edited it and everything, and we ended up doing it all over again. So it's it happens.
These things happen, absolutely. So what I want from this conversation, and I hope you want the same, is that we can see from your instruction your real passion for golf. But what I'd like our users to do is to get to know Bernard the person, but we'll relate it to golf. So let's have a little chat about how you first got into golf, your introduction to golf, and what really made you fall in love with it.
Yeah, so what really made me fall in love with golf was that when I was after I was married. I got married when I was 30, and about a year later, I thought this is a good way. My father-in-law had a couple of trophies. Little did I know that the trophies were for a D flight. I had no idea, right? I was kind of like a golf. I didn't know a lot about it, but I was always pretty good at sports. So I thought this is a good excuse for me to spend some time with him and to bond with him a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I suggested that we go out and play golf. He had a couple of sets of clubs. I said, I'll just use one of your sets. And so so we went out and to play. And it was really the first full 18 holes that I've ever played in my life. And I fooled around, played like 4 or 5 holes, lived across the street from a golf course, and we used to sneak on there as kids. But it was more just like a fun thing to torture people. And to
they're
have
still
fun.
doing it today.
Yeah, of course they are. So I went out, I shot an 82, he shot a 96. He got very upset. And I, tried to blame me of sandbagging and everything else.
Yeah. Did you have $100 on the game at the time?
No, we didn't. It was just a friendly game, but I should have wagered him.
Should, absolutely.
But so basically, he decided to not play as much anymore, and I got the bug.
That's completely the opposite to growing the game, Bernard.
Yeah, exactly.
That's reducing.
Exactly. It was reducing the game, which was not my intention, but I took his place and ended up bringing many, many, many more people into the game.
I know, absolutely.
As many as I can. And that's another big reason why I do social media is most of the stuff that I do with my social media, of course, the people who are watching it are already involved in the game.
Yeah.
But my goal is to help them improve so they stay in the game.
Yeah.
And then maybe if they were really having fun, they're going to tell other players that they learned it fairly enough to have fun at it.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe they'll spread that and it'll just keep spreading. I mean, the goal is to make the game as accessible to everybody as possible, because anybody who's involved in this sport knows that it's the greatest sport that there is. It mirrors life. And it really is wonderful for juniors to learn because it molds their character. It shows them how to be ladies and gentlemen and to play by the rules.
And with that in mind, you're a US Kids Golf certified instructor, right?
Yes, sir, I am.
Yeah, good. Okay. So you learned as a kid, you beat your father-in-law, and then I know you had a career, you had your own business and things like that for about 14, 15 years. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I decided to become a coach. At first, I wanted to be a tournament player. I thought that I could maybe make the senior tour. I was way too old to even go for a young the PGA tour or the European tour.
I think we've all had a round where we've walked off thinking, right, Google PGA, where do I sign up?
Right, exactly, sure. I mean, and most people think if they can shoot a 72, they can go play on tour, and it's more like if you can shoot a 62, you can go play on tour.
Right, absolutely.
Not a 72. But essentially, my goal then was, as I started to teach, my goal was to make everything as simplistic as possible, and my philosophy was to base everything around impact. I did that for many years, and then I actually found Bobby Clampett and got certified by him as an impact zone instructor. I was doing that for probably out of my own academy for about 5 or 6 years. And then Bobby decided that he was going to leave the Champions Tour.
Right.
And go full time in instruction. And and then only do part-time with CBS Sports and commentating. So now he only does the PGA Championship and the Masters.
Right.
Are the two that he does commentating in. And that's on the range. He does that with DirecTV through CBS.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So essentially, when he did that, he contacted me and said, I'm thinking about opening up an academy in the Fort Myers, Naples area. I would love for you to be part of that team if you're interested. And it was about a year early for me. Than I was anticipating to go to Florida, because I was always anticipating to move to Florida and then be there full time.
Yep.
So it ended up that I took him up on that. And this October, I'll be here for 5 years.
Wow. Okay. And let's talk about Impact Zone Golf and how it marries with your philosophy before. So there are 5 fundamentals in Impact Zone Golf. Okay. So let's just briefly go over what those 5 are, and then talk about how your followers on CFG and your other social networks can then utilize those 5.
Sure. So what Bobby has discovered through his study of the golf swing and studying the golf swing with the BizHub high-speed camera with CBS, that all tour pros have 5 things in common, and no matter what kind of player swing style they have, or their mental game, or any of that. Mm-hmm. And so we could let's just think of 3 players in history. Let's take Rory McIlroy, Jack Nicklaus, and Colin Montgomery.
Yeah.
3 completely different kind of players, 3 completely different kind of swings. All 5 of them do these 5 things. And if we were to look at these 5 things and take high-speed video of them and then freeze the frames at those 5 things, and then also look at the information on a launch monitor, let's say a TrackMan, a Foresight, whatever it may be. The first one is, if we freeze their frame at impact, we're going to see that their lead wrist is flat and facing the target.
Yep.
That's mirroring the club face. That's a stabilizer. Okay. The second one is, when their club reaches the bottom of the arc, so in other words, when a club swings, it swings up, it swings down, it can't swing down anymore, it swings up again.
Yeah.
When it reaches that low point is 4 inches ahead of the center of the golf ball, on the target side of the golf ball. Every player does that. All tour pros do that.
Can I just let's interject here very quickly, because one of the questions we talked about earlier is if you had one tip for people who, particularly those stuck at home or unable to get out on a course, what would it be? And that involves that number 2 in your list of 5. So
that's right. I think that you having a consistent low point in your swing in relationship to the ball can totally transform your game.
Yeah. Okay.
Totally.
So what tip would you give to our users and followers to work on that?
A good tip for that right now, since a lot of people are still in lockdown or in self-quarantine or social distancing and aren't able to go out and practice, maybe their range is closed down and they want to work on something at home, they can take a couple pieces of tape or maybe some powder and draw a few lines. So what they can do is draw 2 lines with tape. So I'll have some tape here. I'll do it right here on the desk.
Yeah. Yep.
Let me move this so you can see the desk a little bit better, or my table. So now we'll cut these 2 pieces of tape. We'll put a piece of tape here. This piece of tape is going to represent the golf ball.
Yep.
Okay. So that's what we're thinking is the golf ball. And then we're going to take another piece of tape. And we're going to go 4 inches ahead of that. So what do you know what 4 inches? Well, guess what? Your golf club is 4 inches.
Right. Okay.
Golf club right there at the center of that piece of tape. Put your other piece of tape here. So now you have the ball and the low point.
Yep.
So now if you were practicing this, you'll set up as if this is the ball, and you'll try to strike this piece of tape, not this one.
Right. Yep.
What happens is so many players, they get what we call ball bound. They're trying to make everything happen at this ball, and everything has to happen ahead, the low point. So if you do that, your low point is going to happen at the ball, and that's when you're going to see the club hit the ground first.
Yeah.
Or you're going to thin it. and you're going to top it, right? So if you can get that motion, and that's where they say hit down on the ball, but you're really hitting through the ball.
Yeah.
Then the club, if I'm at this point, I'm having forward shaft lean. Notice how the shaft is leaning forward.
Yeah.
Now, if I had the low point here, look at where the shaft would be. That's bottoming out. That means it started to divot back here.
Yeah.
And I'm hitting the ball lower on the face.
Yeah.
Right? So if I can get it more ahead, now my hands are ahead. My low point will happen later. That produces that flat lead wrist too.
Yeah.
So those two dynamics are produced by that. The third dynamic is loading the club or loading power and getting that hinge at the top of your backswing.
Yeah.
The fourth one is we look for is maintaining that when the lead arm is parallel to the ground. In other words, if this happens, they're throwing away all the power and where there's low point is going to be.
Yeah.
And then the last one is as they're starting down, when they get the club parallel to the ground on the downswing, is it parallel to the target line? And as they come through past impact and the club again is parallel to the ground, is it parallel to the target line?
So within 180 degrees, you keep you end up parallel to each itself, if you like.
Exactly. So essentially, if you look at a lot of tour pros, if they're swinging, if I was to put this up so you can see me stand up here just for a second, and they're here, on the downswing, they're just there, right? So everything just turns straight through, and the body is what's doing more of the delivery.
Yeah.
So we call that the workhorse is what we call the body. It's really essentially, I think it's the engine to the swing.
Yeah.
And the arms are, so if you think of the body, and I've actually posted this on the site, but if you think of your body as the engine to a train.
Yeah.
And you think of your arms and the club as passenger cars. Okay. Nothing ever good happened when passenger cars passed the engine on a train. Right?
You're absolutely
nothing
right.
ever good is going to happen if the arms just do this.
No, quite.
You're going to change the face relationship. You're going to change the path relationship. You're going to change the low point relationship. Mm-hmm. And all those things have to be consistent in order for you to be a consistent ball striker. So those are the things that we look at, and we don't care what style swing you have. If you do these 5 things, you're going to get better. We already did a study on low point and found that where the club bottoms out in relationship to the ball directly correlates with their handicap.
Yeah, you were talking to me about this earlier, and you were saying it affects within a region of 4 or 5.
4 shots per inch. So if you are right at the ball, your low point, you're between a 16 and an 18. If you're an inch in front of it, you're basically a 12 to a 14. If you are 2 inches in front of it, you're an 8 to a 10. If you're 3 inches in front of it, you're a 4 to a 6. If you're 4 inches in front of it, you're a 0 to a 2.
That's incredible. I mean, it sort of becomes logic, but not until you've researched it and found it out, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so that's a bit about. So I think you've committed to uploading a video tomorrow
on those 5 dynamics.
On the 5 dynamics, and then each of the other videos that you produce and you demonstrate break down each of those dynamics into molecular parts, if you like, to then build the complete swing.
Yeah, and then of course there's plenty of other things that I put up there of drills and tips that can help you produce these dynamics.
Yeah.
You'll find that the bulk of the drills that I give most of my clients and that I put on social media is all based around that workhorse delivering, so that the dynamics can be produced. Because if the engine pulls the passenger cars, it can go pretty fast around a curve without jumping a track.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, so tell us a bit about what's going on in Naples, Florida, or Florida as a whole at the moment with regard to coronavirus. Are the clubs open? Are the pros teaching?
Yes. So the pros are teaching. The clubs are open. The beach is open.
Is it? Okay, right.
Yeah. The beach was actually open and then it closed for a day
Right.
because everybody from the East Coast came flying over to the West Coast and nobody was social distancing.
You can understand it though, can't you? I mean, it's...
Well, you can. I mean, look, we're all stir crazy.
Yeah. And so for your teaching, how are you coping with that? I mean, obviously it's been a tough couple of months for all of the golf teachers globally, but things are picking up. How are you?
Things are now starting to pick up again. The governor just opened the state. The governor of Florida just opened the state up.
Rob DeSantis, is it? Is he a golfer?
I'm sure. I'm pretty sure that he's a golfer.
Yeah.
He also felt that through the entire time that while COVID was happening, and still is, of course, that golf was an essential social distancing activity that people could engage in to help relieve stress. And
I think that's a feeling generally. So, yeah, I think that's a feeling generally. I think the issue you have with that is that if golf was singled out as a sport that could be played, people would scream about elitism. So it's a political and, sort of common sense decision that, sadly, even though it's probably the right thing to do. I mean, the way most of us play golf, we're social distancing all the time anyway.
Yes.
It's very rare that we walk in the same direction together. But it's one of those things. But hopefully we're coming out the other side of it. Now, if everybody sticks to the rules, and this is the key now, I think, if everybody sticks to the rules and respects, the procedures that have been put in place, then golf can stay open. If you think that you're smarter than all of these scientists, then it will just get closed down again. So everybody think about it. Think about what you're doing. Don't touch a flagpole. Don't touch a rake. Get out there and play safe and enjoy it.
So, I think the key to all this that we're learning from all this is that, which we should be doing anyway, and we should have done before this all happened, is just think a little bit more about what you do to protect the other person, mm-hmm. or to watch out for your fellow player or your fellow whoever, your neighbor.
In
general, and do things that are going to protect them and yourself.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I think that, and I think the other thing about this whole, even though this is a terrible, tragic thing that's happening across the planet, what I do believe is that it's made most of us a lot more sympathetic towards each other. Mm-hmm. And if actually, even though it's driving us physically further apart, I think it's bringing us closer together as people and understanding each other.
I found when I'm going out running or just generally walking around or what have you, a lot more people are saying hello.
Yeah.
It's a strange dynamic, but it sort of makes sense.
Much more civil towards one another.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, Bernard, listen, I really appreciate your time. Second time round. I do apologize for the first time, but it was a learning curve. I wish you every success for the rest of the season you've got ahead. I look forward to seeing more of your videos. They've really helped me an awful lot, and I know people are now starting to get more confident on utilizing CFG as a communication tool. So I hope you start getting the feedback that your videos deserve. Is there any message you might have for anyone out there? Give us some web addresses that we might be able to find you at.
Yeah, sure. So as for the podcasts that I do and interviews and things like that, you can go to iTunes. It's Breaking Par with Bernard Sheridan. Okay. As of right now, there's 186 episodes to listen to up there.
Okay.
And some of those episodes are also on my YouTube channel that are the video of the episode.
Okay. So on YouTube, we find you just Bernard Sheridan Golf.
Yeah, just Bernard Sheridan. Type in Bernard Sheridan. If you just type in my name into Google, at least if you were in the States, you'd find 10 pages on me.
You do in the UK as well?
Yeah, probably in the UK now. Since I'm on this site, you're probably finding more about me in the UK.
Yeah.
I'm really thrilled to be involved in this format, and I was really very flattered when you asked me to come along and get involved with it. because it gives me a presence in across the pond, which to me I think is important. And it also gives me the opportunity to help players, not just in the United States, but all over the place.
Well, thank you very much for that. I mean, you were one of the first people to sign up to the site, if I remember, a couple of years ago. So we're really grateful for that, and the fact that you stuck with us. And I hope you've seen the improvements as we're going along. I know we talked about some things earlier today that are embargoed that will be launching very soon, and I think that's very exciting for the platform. But we really thank you for being a part of it and for taking the time to spend some time with me today and have a chat. And let's hope we can do this again once all this nonsense is cleared up, and maybe go into a bit more technical detail about some of the lessons you do. And if any of our users or any of your followers have any questions that they might want to pose to Bernard, I'm sure he's happy to answer them.
Absolutely, and they can do that whenever they wish, of course. And I'm really pretty good about getting back to people in a timely manner.
Cool. So post in the comments down here. Make sure you share it so your other users see it, but make sure you also share it on your other social media as well. We'll be sharing it, but you have a different audience to us. Let's get it out there as far and wide as we can. So Bernard, thank you so much for your time today. Stay safe, stay well. Hope business picks up massively for you, and we shall speak again soon. All the best.
Great. Thanks for having me.